Hello you guys, welcome to today's video. So we are going to be doing a hair tutorial for you guys. My friend Kendra, FYI, she was actually the inspiration for the name Kendra, and it's gonna be kind of funny because we're doing that to her hair today. We're kind of giving her a Kendra vibe. So this is her current hair. She has kind of a grown out balayage. It's getting really long, amazing hair, but she's ready for a change. So we're actually gonna take her a little bit darker, kind of like the Kendra, brunette with a highlight. And we're gonna cut it a little bit, get it looking healthier, and I'm gonna show you guys the process. So if you're interested in watching this, stay tuned. Okay, so this is the before. I am going to part her off and I am going to focus on the hairline, the mini piece very first, because this is basically like the most eye-catching part of the whole, hairstyle. It's what the client sees visually in the mirror, and it's what really takes a lived-in look like this to the next level. Even though we are taking her darker, adding the pops of brightness around the face is what's gonna make it look lived in and not just like regrowth or all over dark flat hair. So I'm just kind of doing back-to-back foils right here. I'm going off of her part and I'm doing baby lights back to back to back, very tiny, just kind of packing them in, following her hairline. And then I also tease the dropouts just to give it even more of a pop. That's gonna give her that brightness in the front. Then we're gonna go through, add highlights throughout the hair, and then deepen everything else afterwards. I'm using Blonde Me with 20 volume. We don't need to use anything more than that because her hair is honestly mostly virgin at this point, and then she just has those faded blonde ends, and her hair's like a level 6, so it lifts really well. So that's what I am doing here. We're starting in the front, and then we're gonna work our way towards the back. Okay, so for the highlights back here, I'm still doing very fine sections like I did in the front, but in the front I did baby lights really close together so that it looks like a slice. Back here, my stitching pattern is a little bit thicker. It's a little chunkier, if you will, just because I do want there to be dimension and variation and have those highlights stand out, because there's only like 3 to 4 highlights on each side, 3 in the back. It's just to give her a pop, and everything else is gonna be deepened. So those are in. I did the same thing with the Blonde Me 20 volume, and now I'm gonna do 2 different darker formulas to deepen everything else. So I am treating her base a little bit differently than the mids to ends, because her base is that natural level 6, and then her mids to ends have that faded blonde that we will need to fill. So on her base, I am doing Redken Shades of Q, and I did 4N, 5N with a little bit of 6NB, and I did that with 10 volume. I'm basically just painting that down the first like 2 or 3 inches and then combing it so that it blends really well. This is just gonna give us a little bit of depth at that base. And then I'm gonna take a bottle and I am going to do the mids and ends a little bit differently. I wanna keep that same formula so it's the same level and it has consistency, but I need to add in warmth so that it doesn't go muddy. So I did the 4N, the 5N, the 6NB, but I also added in 7GB and 6WG just to give us that warmth and that gold that we're gonna be missing so that it doesn't look flat. The nice thing about a process like this is it does not have to sit very long. Honestly, as soon as the highlights are done processing, the dark color is going to be good to go. So she sat for only about 25 minutes and then she was ready to rinse. Okay, now to the bowl. The other nice thing about this process is there is not much to do as far as rooting at the bowl because we did that base color everywhere. I only need to now go through and base everything that was highlighted. So it's basically just the crown of her head and the money pieces. And I did a 5N with a little bit of 6NB, so kind of that same formula, but I added just a little bit of 6NA. I like to always do 6NA, or not 6NA, but just any NAs on the root with the level that I'm doing, just in case you had any warmth from lifting. That just kind of helps blur it out and counteract any warmth. So I am doing that right here, taking it down a little bit further in the back, and then I'm going to go through and just barely tap the front to keep her money pieces really bright using that same formula. It's important when you're doing a base color at the bowl to always remember to have Olaplex or a conditioning treatment of some sort on the mids to ends so that when you brush and comb through to blend, nothing gets on those mids to ends. So that's what we have there in the back as that's processing. Now I am just barely tapping that front to blend it and keep that money piece really bright. And you can see she lifted so beautifully. I can't wait to show you guys the end result because it turned out so good. Okay, now that that base color is done, I am toning everywhere she has highlights, and I am using Redken Shades EQ 8WG with 7NB, just because we want it to still be bright, but it needs to be more of like a caramel so it blends in really well with the dark and it doesn't look like really bright highlights against the dark hair. This is what's going to help it look a little more natural and lived in. And when I am doing brunettes mostly, I will leave the base color on and work it through with the toner, whereas with like a blonde, I would usually rinse the base and then tone, but really I just want to make sure that all these colors blend super well, so I like leaving that base on and working them all together. And then I'm using our multi-use brush right there to help blend in as I go. It's a metal brush and I love using this to help blend out at the bowl. All right, this is the final result. Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. Let me know if you have any questions about this process, and please let me know what types of videos you would like to see in the future. I love doing hair tutorials for you guys, also lifestyle and vlogs, so just let me know what you would be interested in. Thank you so much for watching and have a great day.